On December 23rd, in dreams, the moons were shown to me, 4 lunar seasons. Then I was thinking, Lord, why are you showing me these 4 lunar seasons? Then suddenly my companion appeared and showed me a calendar, a page of a calendar. This calendar page said Nisan. So then I didn't understand. I'm not used to seeing those names and knowing what they mean. So when I saw that the name was focused on me, it said Nisan. He marked me on the 17th of that month. When I saw under 17, it said new moon. So at that moment, he told me, I don't want you to lose your count. So now, when he told me that 17 was a new moon, he started counting from 18 and counted it as if it were 1. He counted it, and he counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it fell again Saturday. Then he told me, don't lose the count. Every 7th day is my Saturday. Then I said, Lord, but why are you mentioning this to me about the new moons? Then since I do not understand these things, he told me that Saturdays were the same because they are a sanctuary in the time, to which the enemy has not been able, no matter how much he wishes, to change the weekly cycle of 7 days. That is why the prophecy specifies that will oblige with cancer and death, and that the brokenness of the people who keep this will be to desist them from keeping the holy day, that the new moons are the beginning of each month, but my Saturdays continue as usual. So then I woke up. Never in my life had I given importance to this sense as though so specific. Yes, I had already heard some people talk about the new moons, but not like this, in this sense. Never has something like this happened to me. So, as at that moment I woke up, because I heard the words where he said, Blessed is he who trusts in me. So when I woke up, I started to analyze and think and say, Lord, in this I need more light. I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't know what you're trying to tell me even more about this. So I stayed in meditation and in everything that the Lord had shown me at that time. But it wasn't until December 26th that the Lord spoke to me about this again, a little more. So in this dream, I was at an Adventist convention. It was a Saturday, and they were celebrating Christmas. And in that I see that a pastor arrives and sat down. And then when finished, this place where we were there, where the celebration was taking place of Christmas on this Saturday, after everything was over, we went to a room. It was a rustic room. So there, this pastor who had arrived told me, I have 20 minutes for us to speak, because there is a truth and you must know it. Then he told me to write. Then he was quoting me, and he quoted these verses. He quoted me Luke chapter 22, verse 1. He also quoted Mark chapter 4, verse 23. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 3 to 6. And Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 12. So when he mentioned this to me, I stayed thinking, and I said, what do these verses say? So before I looked for them, because I wanted to proceed to look for them, he handed me a brochure. It was a brochure like light blue. I opened it. Then the brochure fell in our midst. Then I began to read, and it said, The Feast of Jehovah. So I quickly picked up and closed the book and ran after the pastor who was already leaving, the pastor who gave it to me, and I asked him, Why do you give me this? Then he answered me, You must know the truth of God, His celebrations, His plan, the time that the prophecies mark on God's calendar. In that, he picked up a package that my husband gave him and went out on missions. So I went out with the book in hand and entered a meeting that was held on the top of a plain. It was like a hill. There was a concrete building, and I went in, and I saw how all the Adventist brothers celebrated Christmas Day. And there they had a Santa Claus, and many of these dolls were everywhere. Then someone told me, the dynamic here is that at the end, each one, the event that is taking place here, well, each one takes a doll of this to their home as a gift. Then I said, how is it possible? This is pagan. We can't bring that to our house. Then he laughed and continued towards the end of the activity. So I told them that I had something to show everyone, but they never allowed me to do so. And at the end, he told me, you have to choose what you choose. So I looked there, that there was so much pagan symbols, and I said, I could never choose anything that dishonors God. Then he answered me, well, do you see that package and that box up there on a shelf? Then I said, yes, I see it. And he answered me that if I desired to take it, as nobody wanted it, hence let me take it, because if it stays there until the next day, they will throw it away. So I asked him what it got. And he said to me, the bag has a wax, a large plastic, and the box has a shed. Then I quickly replied that yes, I was going to take it with me. Then he said to me, then do it. And he laughed. So I took it down from the shelf and saw that the box and the bag on top were extremely dirty. So I shook it off and carried down the hill and put it away. So there was a cabin further down, and that's where I took them. Then I had received the order to go to another place to explain what was contained in that brochure, because at this meeting they did not let me explain. So I went to another place where there were many Adventists again, and also celebrating Christmas. So I asked them if I could expose something that the Lord had sent me to give, and they answered yes. So I started and opened the brochure, and that brochure got big like a mural, and a pointer appeared in my hand, and I started to share what was written there. So at that moment, when I was exposing what was written there, in my mind I said, Lord, but how am I explaining this if I don't know? I have never done it. So at this moment, I felt someone behind me. And when I turned to see, I saw my companion. He was there with a young man by the hand. And the young man told me, everything you're saying, he, the angel, says seconds before. At that moment, I knew how I was exposing it. Many there received the message joyfully. They were joyful to have learned the truth of the festive solemnities of God and how his calendar runs under these commemorations, and others with great anger because they wanted to cast us out of the place. So we left there, and I was taken to a country path where people transited in search of water. So I was going with the young man on that road while people were looking for water on that road. So when I arrived, I saw that the water not only refreshed, but it was a healing water, because those who drank it were cured. Then I looked at that well, because it was a very different well. It was a beautiful well in confection, with very exquisite flowers and lilies, very precious. I have never seen anything like this here on earth. Those flowers were something wonderful, and I could appreciate that there were lilies, beautiful lilies. Then suddenly I saw that my lower belly had a tumor. I could touch it, and it hurt a lot. Then I heard my companion who told me, take clay, and with this water, make a poultice, a paste, and put it on. So I went immediately, did it, and this disappeared. Then my companion guided us to a field, It was a beautiful mountainous field. There were many huts, many cabins, and everyone as a family celebrated the Feast of Tabernacles. Then I saw how the peace and harmony and solemnity was noticeable in all the place, and the presence of God was felt there at all moments. Then at that moment in which I was looking at everything that was written there, my companion told me, listen. And at that moment, all my senses were alerted to listen, and I heard a terrible earthquake, which followed another and another and another. And he told me, it is time, I must go, but soon we will see each other. And continued telling me, instruct and persevere. Do not faint. Heaven will help you. And there I woke up. There are so many things, beloved brothers, that are happening. The Lord, as I tell to some brothers, we are living under a human calendar, but God's calendar is very different. We are living this world. This whole world is living under God's calendar. His festivities, as he gave it to the people of Israel, which marks these times very important, not only for harvest, but also for them to keep in mind that there is a God and that everything we have, we owe it to him. That same calendar, that today it is still valid in heaven. That is why our Lord died at Passover and rose again as the first fruits, as those true fulfilling that part of the festivities too. Dear brothers, it is tremendous how he also took the people of Israel at Passover from Egypt. That's where it was implemented. I do not know much about these things. As Adventist people, we are not instructed in this. So sincerely, with all my heart, I speak to you. I do not know much about these things, but what I can tell you, that if the Lord is calling attention to this, not that we fall into rituals or things, but so that we are attentive to these times for some reason, because they mark very important prophetic times in this time, very solemn in which we are living. Let's heed, let's follow God's instructions so that we can be aware to the times in which we are, and let us not wander, and let us know exactly what we must do. Let's keep searching. Let us be Bereans. Let us inquire in all these things so that the Lord may direct us in all. May the Lord bless you.